Thank you for watching ratacards.com. Today we have a special guest today. His name is Kurt Bensch. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, just like Johnny Bench, just I have an S and he doesn't. So
Excellent, excellent. Kurt runs a really fantastically successful YouTube channel called The Collectors. Link below. You can check that out. Also, too, he has a Twitter account as well, also link below. Definitely follow him. He's still building his presence there. Definitely want to help him grow that as well. So I looked at your YouTube account, and it looks like you do a lot of games, some trading cards. You're sort of like well-rounded in a lot of collectibles.
yeah, I'm pretty random. When I initially started my YouTube account in 2006, it was mostly just kind of skits and that kind of stuff. And then I took a few years off because I joined the army and I was deployed for a while, and then I came back and saw the baseball card thing was pretty popular, so I went with that, and then kind of get bored with that, and I do the Nerf videos or the video games or whatever. I just whatever comes to me, I just like to do things. I guess it's kind of weird.
Sure. Yeah, that's great. I love the variety that you have there. I surfed through a few of those. You got some interesting things happening. The first question that I have to, well, first I have to thank you for taking this time to do this interview with me. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you.
Oh, thanks for having me. The honor is totally mine. Please, thanks.
Awesome, awesome. I have to ask you, how did you hear about Radicards?
Well, I've seen some of the videos. Just looking through YouTube, I always like to try to find new channels, maybe doing something differently than going, "Hey, I got a meal day today. Look," that kind of stuff. But mainly it was through Josh Iscafan, and he told me about it the other day that he did an interview with you, and it was really great things. And so he and I have been friends for several years now. And then I saw the interview with Ben, so I started watching more and more. And I like the way you always have your guests and you guys just talk about a topic or just a couple cards. I think that's pretty cool. I like what you're doing.
So tell me, Kurt, at what age did you start collecting baseball cards, and what got you into it?
Um, I have to say it was about at least 7 or 8. My family has always been in the military, so in one way or another, was in the army. Just so happened we moved back to the States. We lived in Germany for a while, and a friend of my dad's, a coworker, came over and he was, talking to me about cards. Do you collect cards? And I said, no, I don't know what that is because they don't sell that kind of stuff over there. At least I don't remember. And he goes, "Oh man, you gotta get into this hobby." So it was actually football cards was my first introduction to trading cards, and so getting a bunch of football cards, and I had my little storage box. And there was no like BCW or any of that kind of stuff back then, and we all used shoe boxes and everything. So shortly after, kind of discovering Sports Center and seeing baseball, and I lived in Texas, so of course it was Nolan Ryan. Everything was Nolan Ryan. So instantly fell in love with Nolan Ryan, and so that's 7 or 8 years old, and Nolan Ryan was God to me. It was just everything. The guy was awesome. And you talk about a guy who consistently was throwing mid upper 90s into his 40s, and he never had any kind of injury or Tommy John or anything like that. And nowadays guys can't go a year or two without having to have Tommy John surgery or something. So really speaks to his longevity as a pitcher. I think he could have pitched into his 50s. I mean, just seeing him, and that's just the jealous part of me. I was really upset when he retired, but because I didn't understand, just how old he was, and I didn't know that he'd been around since the 60s until a few years later. So, he'd been. You're right, better part of 4 decades. That's a long time.
He's still to me a legend. And I
Yes.
heard recently that he pitches still at 70 some miles an hour, can still pitch. What do you like about collecting baseball cards?
I'm just a collector at heart, I guess. So just collecting things. I'm sure you've seen on my channel. For those people that have seen my channel, I go, I have baseball cards and Funko vinyls and just so many different things. But for me, the baseball cards, a couple things. I'm a set builder at heart, so I like building the sets. Um, I've had to like scale that down though, so I mainly just do like tops, just the normal top set, and then maybe Heritage, because I like the look of the old cards with the new players. But I'm a set builder at heart. I do have a player PC. I guess my other reputation on YouTube would be I'm a David Wright collector.
Oh, nice.
I've got to be. I'd like to think I'm have the biggest David Wright collection, but I don't know. But that goes back to the kid. Nolan Ryan, and my other PC was Joe Montana. Huge Joe Montana fan. So going to the mall, going into the card shop, and spending my $5 on allowance on getting a vintage at the time. It was only a couple years old. Joe Montana or Nolan Ryan card. And adding that to the collection and getting a couple packs. I don't buy cards just for the hits or anything like that, but at the same time, we all do enjoy, getting that autograph or getting that player that or that one card that you need for that set. And so I guess that's what does it for me. I love putting sets together. I've got binders, so I'm kind of, I guess, what you would say an old school kind of collector. But that's my guy through and through. That's my number one collection is David Wright.
What got you into David Wright, and then I guess also Joe Montana as a kid? What was the draw to those two players?
So for Joe Montana, I would say just again, I started out as a football collecting football cards and watching SportsCenter as a kid and just seeing Joe Montana highlights, and the Niners were the team of the 80s and late 80s, early 90s. Mm-hmm. And just as a kid, I don't know if it was something shallow like, well, they're winning, so I like him. But I just, Joe Montana, I like the colors of the uniforms, and, and he was always the best player to use in the old Nintendo, Tecmo Super Bowl. You couldn't touch me if I got the 49ers. But as far as David Wright, see, I think every collector kind of goes through this weird, at least I did. So where I'm from in Alabama, there really was no card shop or anything like that. Or if there was, they had closed down pretty fast. This is just not a thing there. And so I my collecting, about 94, 95, and just tailed off until the mid 2000s. But I remember watching Baseball Tonight one night, and they were talking about, they were showing the Mets, and they showed this play David Wright made where he Brian Giles. I still watch the video on YouTube. It's incredible. Hits a ball, breaks his bat, and David Wright runs backwards and with his bare hand catches the ball. And I was the third baseman in high school, and I was just like, wow, what a play! And then consistently just making plays like that, and I like the Mets anyway, and you can just tell he was going to be a star. I mean, he just had that look to him, so it just kind of went from there. I instantly was all about this guy 100%.
I love it. And you still actively collect David Wright?
Yes, to this day. I only have a few binders, but in both, I think combined I have like 600 something cards of his. It's kind of hard to do these days because there's 100 different parallels. So it's really tricky to keep up with.
I feel you, man. I do the same thing with Frank Thomas, and I have to pick and choose every year which ones I want to work on. You do have to be kind of choosy about what you buy if you're collecting on a budget of some capacity. And I think a lot of us, most collectors have that sort of limitation, which is totally fine. And I think, I don't know about you, but I accepted long ago that I can't get it all.
Yeah, I don't even bother trying to, the million autographs and the jersey cards and all that stuff. I'll get, I have maybe 5 or 6 autographs and a couple of his jersey cards. The prices are just ridiculous. These guys that buy the cases and then, they sell them on eBay. Well, this one's blue, so it must be a $2,000 card or something. I've accepted that. There's a couple what they call rainbows. Where you get there's a couple of them that I just can't complete because I'm not willing to pay, $100, $200 for a card that's, a different color. I guess I don't know. maybe one day, but right now, no, I'm not.
And there's nothing wrong with that. You kind of just have to pick and choose what you like to buy. Rainbows
Yeah,
are great, but you don't have to have the whole thing to enjoy it, you know. There are a
yeah,
lot of rainbows that I have where I'm still missing one or two cards, and I'm still proud of the progress that I've made, you
yeah,
know. And I've never seen the other two copies. I think they exist, but
yeah.
it's still fun. Do you pursue on a daily basis? Do you look on eBay online pretty frequently?
Actually, yeah, today, and I had a whole list I was gonna like see, but I left it at work. But I use eBay. What's the other one? Check out my
Yeah,
cards.
that one's good.
And there's another one. Of course, I haven't used it in a while, but Just Commons.
Oh, you like
Uh,
that one?
oh yeah, I because I'm a set builder, so I like to go there, and I think they have fair prices and shipping is cheap, which is a big deal to me.
Check out Sport Lots as well if you have a chance. I don't know if you've been on it. That's a good
No,
one for like knocking out sets if you're working on sets.
okay,
Pretty inexpensive per card too.
yeah,
Um,
sure.
so tell me, what was your first baseball card?
I would say it would have to have been either probably some kind of 90, 91 score, or a Donruss, maybe 90, 91 Donruss. I really the first card that kind of sticks out in my memory is the 1990 Donruss, Nolan Ryan, the King of Kings card.
I remember. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're holding, you're like, well, these guys are Diamond Kings, but he's the King of Kings, and you're like, he. Because as a kid, the stats didn't really kind of settle in with me, just numbers, and then, but he's the King of Kings, so he's got to be the best, and then, so that's really my first earliest memory. As a kid, going to West Palm Beach to see my grandfather, we'd always stop at the car wash because there's always love bugs that get all over your car, and they would always sell 88 Donruss. And back in like '92, I was like, oh man, these are really old cards. They got to be super valuable, and that crummy little, the cards. I can't even call it card stock. That was just like notebook paper they were printed on. But thinking like, man, these are great cards, And the Diamond Kings, you get Diamond King in every pack, and now there's like the bane of my existence that I dared to try to put that set together, and I could I couldn't do it. It's
The Ron
impossible.
Gant is an SP in that set, and he's a high number. Strangely enough, there's SP is associated with 88 Donruss, and they're typically like the last 100 or so cards, roughly speaking. It's like the last batch. And so the Ron Gant is one of those cards that would be considered rare.
Wow.
Isn't that
Okay.
strange to think about?
Well, you say that though, and it makes sense because I was in Germany and I really gotten back into the hobby after I got back from deployment, and I bought a whole ton of 88 Donruss because I just wanted to finish that from my childhood. And as I'm putting the sets, in the pages and everything, like whole pages like would be missing. I'm like, how in the world? Just millions of duplicates, but it makes sense now with you. It makes total sense.
As something that's been printed in that amount of quantity, um, and I learned about the ESPYs and 88 Donruss relatively recently. I say in the last like 5 to 7 years, and I was kind of blown away too, because I was
Yeah,
like, rarity from 88 Donruss, that's not possible. It's not
yeah,
possible.
that's yeah,
This is type of stuff that you would. It's hard to give away for one, and for
yeah,
two, if you live in really cold environments, you just stuff like 800 count boxes with them and use them for like firewood bricks.
exactly.
You
Yes,
know, take out all the Tom Glavines first, of course, but
yeah.
it's I would never do that because I don't believe in burning baseball cards, but um,
There's a couple sets.
I'm a big fan of donating to like
Yeah,
children's hospitals, YMCA's, youth centers, that kind of thing. Let the kids enjoy them. I still have fond memories of 88 Donruss and 89 Donruss. Those are, I think, forever important sets to my childhood, even.
well, I think it kind of molded us because there was no internet, so we didn't have eBay and all this other stuff where other people could, say this card's a $1,000 card. Back then we had Beckett, and then if you were trying to trade with somebody and they had their Beckett, and you're like, hold on, this is a quarter card, and you're trying to trade me these. No, man, I need and trading was a big deal back then. Now it's kind of everyone's all out for the money, but that's one of the reasons I like the YouTube community as a whole, and mainly we have a group of guys. Um, we call ourselves a storage unit just because we have just tons and tons of cards and stories, and you're not you're not any different from us in the sense that you suffered through 88 Donruss and 89 Tops and just some of these nightmare sets to put together. So it's good to meet other people that kind of I guess earn their stripes dealing with some of those sets.
Isn't that fantastic? I have this undying love for junk wax because it's so connected to my childhood, my youth.
Yeah.
I'll always dog on certain sets, but at the end of the day, I still love them very much.
Yeah.
Like 91 Score, they printed so much of that stuff, and I remember opening boxes of that when I was younger, hoping for one of the Mantle autographs, and of course never pulled one. Same with 91 Donruss. I must have opened a case when I was younger, didn't pull an Elite. I still don't have an Elite, but luckily Thomas isn't in the 91 set. He started in 92 forward.
Yeah.
I still, to this day, have a love for all those old sets from like 86 to 93, 94, during the heyday of the hobby boom.
Speaking of, my doorbell just rang. I got a box of 87 Fleer on the doorstep right now, so I'm going to be cracking into that tonight. I just every now and then you just get the urge, and like you said, you never got a Dominator or an Elite or whatever, and I never even knew about that stuff existing until I started watching YouTube and guys are showing their binders and like, yeah, this is from 91. I was like, there's no way that's from 91 because I bought every pack there ever was. And I never got anything like that. And, so there's the rarity, even though some of those, because I was watching some of your videos today and you're like, yeah, this is out of 10,000. You're like, well, I should have had like at least 2,000 of them with how much, money I put into this product. I never got one.
What's interesting is that out of 10,000 and you break box after box after box, you don't see a single one, which starts to clue you in on what kind of production output we're really talking about here.
Yeah.
I mean, millions and millions and millions of copies per card in the set. And so finding something out of 10,000 is really like a needle in a haystack. It really is.
Yeah.
Every time I see a box of 91 Donruss, I think maybe there's an Elite in there. Should I buy it? Of course I don't buy it. I'd rather just look for the Elite and buy the Elite directly. But 87 Fleer is a total classic. I mean, Ruben Sierra, Barry Bonds, Bobby Bonilla, Sandberg, Puckett, Don Mattingly, Barry Larkin's in there, Bo Jackson, Will Clark. A lot of classics in that set. And I love the blue to white gradient. I think it's fantastic. So tell me, how do you catalog your collection? Do you keep a checklist in Excel, Word? Do you have like a Google sheet?
Man, I'm random. For the David Wright stuff, I have my binders pretty well organized by year at least, because I found myself buying a lot of duplicates. But for the most part, I just I had to scale down because I was just buying whatever. I'll have a list of like once, and that's really about the most organization that I have.
Do you do the binder thing for your sets specifically, or do you do it for your David Wright collection and Joe Montana's?
My binders are for my individual players, and I keep my heritage cards in the binders. The way I do my top sets is I want to say everything 83 to 92, because that's when it was just tops. There was no Series 1 and Series 2, and that ended in 92. And they fit perfectly in penny sleeves in a 6-row box. And then from when I picked back up collecting again in 06, so 06 to current, I have every set. I don't do the updates. I probably should because there's a lot of good rookie cards. I started with 83 because that's when I was born, and I figured pick back up with 06 because that's when I got back into it, and I stopped with 90. I want to say it was 92 because that was the last 792 card set, and then it went to like 900 cards and 1,000 cards, and I don't want to deal with that. So
are you hand collating or are you buying the sets?
So from 06, most of them are hand collated. The stuff previously, I'll buy the whole set. Some of the 80s stuff I hand collated, like 87. That was a pain. But 87, 88, I hand collated.
So many people hand collated 87 and 88. I love it.
89.
89.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been mostly doing it by hand. Unless I just feel lazy, then I'll just spend $50 and have somebody have somebody essentially do it for me. So
That checklist that you had indicated, is it public or is it something you just keep on hand? So like if someone found a car that said, "Hey Kurt, I found this. Do you want it? Do you need it?" They can kind of go to that link, that page, and then see if you still need it. Do you have something like that?
no, I don't. The YouTube community is great, and sometimes the guys they'll send me a message, "Hey, do you have this? I found it at garage sale or whatever." And I've gotten some just incredible cards through the mail from my buddies and people. Just generosity through the ceiling. It's truly amazing. Like for example, he ended up sending me this Gary Carter on autograph, and I was just like, dude, that's he had just passed away too, a few years ago, and I was like, man, that's you didn't have to do that. And he's like, well, you're the Mets fan and everything, so it's like, thanks,
I love it. The autographs in that set are actually hard to pull.
Yeah, you got out of retail too.
What are some of your favorite cards, and why? Feel free to show them if you have them next to you.
The first autograph card I ever got, and it was the first TTM. I've dabbled a little bit in the TTM, but this Kenny Rogers,
nice,
93 Ultra. I sent this to him in '93 to the Texas Rangers, and it was towards the end of the year, and didn't hear anything, and then like a year and a half, 2 years later, because '94 was a strike, he was in Oakland. And I got a letter in the mail, and lo and behold, here's the card I sent away. Like a message in a bottle. Kenny Rogers. One of the coolest TTMs I ever got was this Sparky Anderson. I was able to get this to him probably a year or so before he passed on this '89 Topps.
That's great, man.
Every collector should have one of these guys.
Oh, I love that card.
Whether it's graded or not, I mean, he's like the modern day Mickey Mantle. The kid. So.
Such an icon.
Yeah, Whitey Ford.
Oh my gosh, look at that one. Sterling was a great product. It's very high end, very nice premium Topps.
And the thing about it I love the most is the signature. You can
very legible.
It's not slop. Like Ryan Sandberg has probably the worst signature I've ever seen. It's terrible.
And Cal Ripken's is probably one of the best.
And it's out of 10. So
I love it.
And the old pinstripes. I mean, the uniform's old. You can tell, and it just has that old feel to it. And I saw the green border, and I was like, oh, cool. And then I saw this little smudge down there, and I was like, oh, I got an autograph. And it's Don Larson.
That's amazing.
When he threw the perfect game in the World Series, and you have Yogi Berra jumping in him, and yeah. And I am not a Yankees fan, but two of my favorite cards happen to be Yankees. So there's the Don Larson perfect game 5x7. Too. You say Cal Ripken, and then I got one of his autos. I like this one. In my opinion,
nice.
he is the hit king, even though Ichiro, technically has more hits, but that's not in the major league. So
that's the debate.
It was a 67 Dexter Press Harmon Killebrew. It's not autoed, but I mean it's just this ginormous like postcard look. I mean, I love the old look, and then of course. Brooks Robinson to go along with them.
How do you store the bigger PSA slabs? Where do you put them?
I try to display them. I have this shelf back there.
So rad.
I just try to display them on, with those easels. They're so heavy, so I gotta get newer easels that support the weight because they just always end up tipping over. I have David Wright, Ryan Zimmerman, and Mike Schmidt. And the Mike Schmidt has that powder blue Phillies, really sweet uniform there. Willie McCovey.
That's a clean one. He's got a great sig too.
Very, very good. Yeah, David Wright stuff. Like I said, I don't have too many.
Oh, that was nice.
But yeah, if you remember from the 06 NLCS, I consider it the best catch of all time in the playoffs, at least. Andy Chavez. It just so happens to be on the AIG, the strength to be there, and there he is saving the game. At the time, they ended up losing, but uh, snow cone the ball. I mean, it's fantastic.
That's an incredible piece.
Yeah, one of my more recent pickups was this guy.
Griffey. Oh,
Getting,
yeah.
yeah, Jackie Robinson bat card.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
2012, I bought a box of Allen and Ginter. We were recording the video, and you know, on the cover of the box was Arnold Palmer, and I was thinking to myself, wow, that'd be cool to have that autograph. And sure enough, she got it.
Wow.
Yeah, because I got this Buster Posey printing plate.
Oh, nice.
Really cool. Just because those old Houston Astros uniforms are so sweet. And Nolan Ryan with the pinstripe on there.
Isn't that great? Those old, like, gosh, what would that be? Early 80s, like 82.
Yeah.
You know, I love it. So as with many extensive categories, you know, we often have to pick a focus and stick to something. So within your collecting, like you collect David Wright, you collect Mets, do you have a focus within those things?
As far as David Wright, I mean, just anything and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, within, you know, I don't like again, I don't need every one of his jersey cards or every one of his autographs. But base cards, I'm trying to get them all. You know, I'm trying to get every single one. As far as the Mets go, I mean, you know, I collect certain Mets players. I don't collect all of them. Talking, you know, Tom Seaver or Doc Gooden, Darryl Strawberry, John Franco, you know, Carlos Delgado. Piazza, yeah, I have a lot of Piazza cards. I wish I would have kept up with the hobby in the 90s. But just, you know, where I lived, wasn't a thing, you know. There was no, like our Walmart, there was no, like, baseball card section. Every now and then for Easter, they would put these weird, like, plastic, or, you know, those gift baskets, and they'd have, like, plastic tubes and stuff in them.
Oh, yeah. I remember all that stuff.
And that's how I would get the majority of my cards. And I remember I got a Frank Thomas, I still have it.
Oh, wow, yeah. 94 Pacific Prism with the circular background.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's another version of that with a slightly different background. A lot of collectors have cards that they feel were perhaps the most difficult to track down amongst all the cards they have. Do you seek out anything specifically, and can you talk about one or two cards that fall into this category? Feel free to mention search duration and other details that you feel necessary.
Remember the old moments and milestones where every card was sealed?
Oh yeah, the 1 of 1, the red.
Finding a 1 of 1, you know, of course, of your player, of course, is impossible. You can find every other player, but then you want to find your player. So it took me a while to find that. These E-tops I'd never heard of.
Those are cool. I like those.
And just the refracting is pretty cool on them. So since he was my favorite as a kid, like the perfect Nolan Ryan card. I don't have a Nolan Ryan autograph. I'd love to have him in a Mets uniform, but they don't really make too many cards with him in a Mets uniform. That's really what I'm putting my focus on right now, is getting a Nolan Ryan auto. And then I'd love to have a Joe Montana auto as well. And the Frank Thomas, you know, I put that on your video. I was like, oh man, because you're like, oh, I just got 5 Frank Thomas autos. I'm like, oh, I don't even have 1. So that would be another good one to have.
What are some cards you're still after? We talked about the Frank Thomas auto, the Joe Montana auto. Is there anything that's not autographed or not game used, or just something that you wish you had in your collection?
There's some David Wright rookies, you know, some of the minor league kind of stuff, those minor league, you know, team sets they put out, really obscure kind of cards. Trying to get a hold of some of those. Nolan Ryan rookie, of course, would be fantastic. You know, the Mike Trout auto or Bryce Harper auto, that kind of stuff. But I just don't have that kind of money to fork over. So, you know, having their rookies is fine with me. I'd love to have a George Brett is one that's been on my radar, you know, from 75. Kirby Puckett, what was it, 84 Fleer update, that rookie I think would be a fantastic. Same thing with the Gooden, as the Doc Gooden, 83 traded Darryl Strawberry. I'd love to have a mantle, some vintage mantle, so I can say I got a mantle.
If you weren't collecting David Wright, who would you be collecting?
Nolan Ryan.
Yeah.
I've slowed up on that, but other than those two, Ken Griffey Jr., Tony Gwynn, and Brooks Robinson, I'd go after a lot more of his stuff.
Do you have any future plans for your collection? And if so, what are they? Some people in this question, they answer by mentioning an interest in building a website to showcase their collections or creating a better system of organizing their collections. Is that something? Is there anything that you have in plans for the future?
I haven't thought about a website. That'd be kind of cool. I'd like to be able to be able to display them a little bit better. I think all of us buy the cards and with the intent of being able to show them off to other collectors or people that just happen to come by your house. Yeah, I know a website would be kind of cool. I'd like to grow my channel a little more. That's been a big goal of mine. I've been on YouTube over 10 years now and sort of kind of taken off a little bit now. But I also like helping everybody else too, and I'd like to think I've helped some of the guys. And
thank you for sharing all this with me today. It's been excellent to sit down with you and talk about what you collect, why you collect it, some of the cards you like. It's just been a great introduction, essentially, because I'd never met you before or talked to you really before this. So I'm glad we got a chance to meet. Do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share?
I'd just like to thank you and ratacards.com. I mean, what you're doing, I totally dig what you're doing. I think it's unique. I like your knowledge, your extensive knowledge, and just taking the time out to interview us. The YouTube guys. Hopefully, sit down with you again because this is awesome. Just maybe share some cards and stuff like that. I think it'd be good. But I just want to thank you for the opportunity.
My
pleasure.
For sure. My pleasure, Kurt. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you, viewers, for watching this. We hope you enjoyed it. Kurt, thanks again. And until next time, enjoy collecting.